Great. You're great. You and I have been like I honestly, it's always been for me. It's always been fond, and I've always been grateful because in hardcore, even though I've been involved for like since like for like '90, I've always sort of felt like an outsider amongst all these other people, and the fact that you just sort of took me in, the fact that I woke you up and you didn't absolutely just hate me and hold a grudge for that, like all that stuff, and then we remained friends and we kept talking and we over the years this dipping into each other's lives, and like that's the one thing where like I love social media is I've got to see so much of your growth through that I've just been like like I would always think in my head, if anybody knew where this guy was and what this guy came from, it just makes everything so much more amazing now. And you bring up a really good point about going back. Like I often think about that, like going back. I think it'd be one thing to go back and visit, but I think you would agree. I don't think you and I certainly wouldn't ever want to stay.
No, no, no.
Right.
And I think that's the thing. I think, for me, like it's one thing to connect with somebody and talk a little bit about the past, but be about the present. So for me, it's like if someone just wants to reminisce, like I'm not the right person because like there's way more pain in the past for me than there is anything positive. So like I said, like that's where like if like there's still like a few weeks ago when we played New York, like I talked for a little while with Tim McMahon from Mouthpiece, and like him and I like live very different lives, and like that guy loves Chain Strength and that era of music and that those moments in a way that I can't relate to at all. But like, when we saw each other, like we were talking about like what he's doing, now, like he just bought a business. And I'm like, that's really fucking cool. Like, I'm proud of you. Like, and like, I don't know, like it's that thing of like, if we're just going to meet up and talk about the old times, like no, I have no interest, like, because there's too much wrapped into it. But if it's more about like, hey, you remember these things and think about like where we are now and what do we learn? Like, that's the type of shit like I love and like is meaningful for me because it's a like interesting balance and that the past, like I don't there's a lot that I regret in the past, but I know that without that past I wouldn't have what I have today. So it's like this balance between revisiting it and talking about these funny times or moments or maybe not so funny times and moments. And if we're just going to stick on that, then God, I'd rather be anywhere than in that room. But if we're going to reflect on what that means to us today and how it maybe has shaped us and changed trajectories of who we are, then I really find that like meaningful. And so I love connecting if that's what we're trying to do. So